So does everybody have their handout? Close-fitting body block? Bodice block? Okay, the book or the handout. One reminder about Winifred. Remember, she gives you all of the sizes, all the measurements up at the top. So measurements required to draft this block. They're all there at the top. Okay, for our standard size, which is what we're going to do, what she calls a size 12. So now I have a little post-it. I find it hard to follow Winifred's instructions. So a little reminder, take one instruction at a time when you're dealing with her. Read what she says. For example, like 0 to 1. Find it on your diagram. So find where 0 is and find 1. So that's a visual. It's only a short little thing. And look at where it is. It's at the top left-hand side of the page. So we need to be at the top left-hand side of our page, okay? So don't just go 0 to 1 and start it here, because you're going to end up, you know. So this is the diagram of what we're about to make. This is the instructions. So use the diagram. Look at it first and then follow her instructions. Her instructions are hard to follow. They don't give you any, they're not a sentence, they don't explain anything. So when we follow them, we need to have a visual that will help us know what she's talking about. Then she'll give us a little quick instruction. Now the very first instruction on this is actually square down from 0 and square halfway across the block. So what that means is she's creating this line and this line. So look at that line and that line. It needs to be on the left-hand side. Do leave space around the top. Don't do it right up here, just in case there's any mistakes made or whatever. So try and come down a little bit, and you can leave some space this way. The paper that is cut is bigger than it's needed. So there's a line here on this board, this blue line, and it's highlighting the line that I'm going to draw. You can use these to draw lines with. They're grand. Don't use them for measurements. They're not accurate enough. It's really hard to measure with these. So use your set squares, professional set squares, or whatever set square you have for your measuring. So draw the line with this if you want, but then measure with this after. When you are drawing the line through the spots and crosses, you need to be sure that your line is going right through the center of those spots and crosses. Not that you start on one side of the X and end up on the other side of the X by the bottom. That is out by 2 or 3 millimeters. The block needs to be absolutely millimeter precise. What I like to do is put my pencil in the position and then I'm going to put my set square up against it, or my ruler, my whatever device I'm using, okay? Then I come down to the bottom, I put my pencil there, and I put my ruler up to it. So I know that my pencil has marked where I'm going to draw the line. So when you draw the line, hold this, press the ruler down hard against your table and draw carefully. Be careful not to go like this, angle your pencil and then come back around like that. You will be several millimeters off in your line. So keep the same angle. So I drew that first one with pencil, but you guys won't be able to see if I continue to draw with pencil. You won't be able to see up here. So I am going to now continue by using a marker. So we have drawn that line, and then you're coming along the spots and crosses here at the top. You're continuing out. Okay. Okay. And one thing to remember, do not draw those big dots that she has on the diagram, okay, because they cover the intersection and I can't measure. Our first instruction there says 0 to 1, and then it just has a number, 1.5 centimeters. So, you know, she doesn't give much information. It's just, in that case, it's just an exact amount. Okay, so 0 to 1, be sure and have a look over here and find where it is so you have a visual. Oh, it's going down. Okay, then you come back, then you read the instruction. Oh, it's 1.5 centimeters. Okay, so I'm going to measure 1.5 down. Be careful with your set squares if they have a space before the 0. Some set squares have, this one has like a little space, like maybe 4 or 6 millimeters, and then the 0. So just remember to start your 0 at that point and not the top of your set square if you have a set square like that. I'm going to come down 1.5 there, make a little mark. Okay, so again, do a little line, like a little intersection, not a big dot. You can label those. What I do is I circle the positions. So if the number has a circle around it, it's naming the position. If it doesn't, it's a measurement. Okay, so I'm going to take my little post it up and put it down on the next one. So the next line is 1 to do. So 1 is here, and we try and find 2. We find 2 somewhere. Where is 2?
2 is halfway down the, or third of the way down.
There. Okay. So 1 to 2. So we're going down. So again, visually, you know, okay, I'm going down here. I'm not going way down. I'm going somewhere here. Great. I now have a visual of what I'm doing. Now the next thing is you read her instructions. Her instructions are how you get that measurement. So she either gives you the measurement or she tells you how to get that measurement to go from position 1 to 2. So here she says the arm side depth measurement plus 0.5 centimeters. And then there's a second set of instructions, square across. So there's 2 sets. Be careful that you don't just do one and forget the second when you're following her instructions. So arm side depth. So we find arm side depth up there, which is 21. But remember, we're adding 0.5. Right? So it's 21.5. We're going to measure down 21.5. So I've made my little intersection. The next thing I'm going to do is square across. The squaring is definitely the place where most people make mistakes. The squaring is the number one issue really in drafting. So squaring, you need to be sure that you are using your set square, whatever type of set square you have, that you're using the 90-degree angle corner, okay, not any other angle. And there's a few different terms that we can use for squaring. You can call it drawing a perpendicular line. Anyone remember that term? So if you have a line here and you want to draw a line perpendicular, that's another way of saying it. Squaring is another way. And 90-degree angle, a line at a 90-degree angle is another way. So there's a few ways of talking about what we're doing here. She's going to say squaring. So squaring is tricky. You got to have one side really very tightly aligned with your line. And what I say is white knuckle it, as in press down really hard on your set square. Okay? Because if you move slightly, it's way out, do you know? As you draw, you can move and it can go out, and your line can be not squared, or it can be squared for the first little while and then veer out. The spots and crosses help you, because if you're at like halfway-ish between these spots and crosses, and by the end you're all the way down here, you know visually straight away you're out, your squaring's out. So that's why this paper is very helpful for your blocks. If you happen to, if the measurement happens to fall on the spot and cross too, it's great. You just draw a cross with it. Because all those spots and crosses lines here are exactly perpendicular to these ones. So you can get lucky sometimes. Even it can fall on the bottom of the X's and you're like, great, don't have to even concentrate, just use it. But if it's falling in between, which it is here for me, at least it will help. If I start here and I end up all the way down here, I know I'm out. So I'm going to just really concentrate. Okay, put my set square on. Press hard with your hand down on your set square so it doesn't move, and draw the line. Again, we're not worried about how far out yet. We're not measuring, so just draw it out as long as you can. If your set square ends here, then you just need to line it back up and extend the line. The other thing I want to highlight is to be sure that you measure from 1 and not 0. So you're measuring from here, from 1 down to 2, and that is 21.5 centimeters. So the next one is 2 to 3. So from 2 to 3, which is across the block. So now we know we're going across here. From 2 all the way across. Okay, this is a very important measurement. Again, if you get this one wrong, your block is completely out. So there's a couple measurements that are very important to like double and triple check. So this is one of them. Because if this line is out, your whole entire front bodice block, which is this, is out. So just be kind of really careful with it. First we need to get the calculation right, then we need to, when we measure, get our measurement very accurate. So the instructions she gives us are half the bust plus 5 centimeters. She has it actually worked out there for us because she's using the example measurements that we have. But otherwise we'd go up to the bust, we'd find that it's 88, divide that in half first and then plus 5. So why would we add 5 centimeters, do you think? Why do we add 5 centimeters to the bust measurement?
Just easy for ease.
For ease, okay? So anyone remember that term ease? So if you made it exactly fitting the bust, it would be so tight that it, you know what I mean, it wouldn't move at all. And we can't have it that tight. So you see that? That's ease. That's that 5 centimeters. So it's kind of fitting this, but there's a little room. So as we move our arms, and you know, it's not getting stuck, like it's not too tight. She has it worked out for us there. She has the measurement worked out as 49.
49.
88 divided by 2 plus 5 equals 49. Then she says to square up and down and mark this line, the center front line. Now I wouldn't square up and down because why?
Because we measure.
I measure.
Yeah.
Because squaring is less accurate. Squaring is the least accurate thing. So I will always measure. So if I go here and I'm slightly off here and slightly off here, my line is slightly off. If I measure 49, 49, 49, 49, if anything's out, I'm going to see it there. There's going to be, you know, so I feel it's much more accurate. Okay, so I'm going to measure 49 across on each. So that's 40 and then 9. Okay, so I have my measurements, and then I can put my ruler up to it and see how good my measuring was. It looks pretty good. You know, sometimes you've actually put 48 on one, so you'll see it straight away if the measurement is out. It will be easy to correct it. He said to label that your center front line. So center front line, remember, is this part of the body, isn't it?
Yes.
So when we're talking about this part here, we're talking about this part on our card block. Remember that the card block only comes for half of the body, doesn't it? So why are we doing a block that's only for half of the body like this? It's the same on this side, isn't it?
Yeah.
It sort of cuts down, hopefully, on the amount of air, cuts down on the amount of paper and card we're using. And this bit here is the back of the body part. That's that. That's going to be that, and then that's going to be here on my body. Okay? The more you kind of relate your paper and what it is you're doing to the actual garment, the more helpful it will be. Okay? So there we go. That's that and that. Please write it right on the line. So then we have 3 to 4. So position 3, which is where, oh yeah, 3 to 4, okay. 0, and it says equals 0 to 2, so it's just telling you it's the same. It's kind of unnecessary, that particular instruction, because we already have that, but I suppose it's trying to give us position 4. So then there's an instruction there in bold where she says when using body sizes from the standard body measurement chart on page 11 or personal measurements, and then she gives you what page that is, 214. She has a whole set of instructions there. So she says to add 0.5 for each size, about 14, blah, blah, blah. So it's important that you understand that this formula that she gives us, this set of instructions, you can put your personal sizes into it, but then at certain instructions, she's going to tell you things like that. So you have to work this out. So the next measurement, we see 1 to 5, and we need to find 1 to 5 on our, here, 5 is down here at the waist, yeah? So 1 is up here, remember it's not 0, it's 1, and it's down to 5. So from this measurement, 1, we're going to come down. So be careful not to measure from 0. Okay, we're going to work out the measurement now. She says nape to waist measurement. We pause there. Nape to waist. Have a look up there. We find it. 41. Then she says square across. So there's nothing being added. So 41. Excellent. From 1, a little bit down below 0, down here we've got. Then we're going to square across again. And then draw your line across. And so, 1 second there. Waist to hip measurement, we look up there, it's 20.6. We're going to measure 20.6 down and then we're going to square across. Okay, we're squaring across again. Now this is only going to take me so far along. If you ever have a line like that where you've squared and you need to extend it, take a long section of your ruler along this line. Don't just go at the end because you could to extend it. And that is position 8. So this is our square, our rectangle, should we call it really, with all the main points. It's the most important part of the block, that these are correct. So the next thing we're doing is the back block, which is here, this bit here. So on this side here, or this bit here. So it's labelled back, and then it says 0 to 9. You can see it here is coming across along the top. And then she gives us 1/5 the neck size minus 0.2, and then draw in the back neck curve 1 to 9. So you can look on your little cheat sheet there for the measurement. 7.2 is the measurement over that we need to go to, and we do our little intersection. And then in terms of the neckline, you just want that neckline there not to be too angled, so not like a straight line from there to there. Something like what she's drawn. So the one thing I would say is you do need to start this bit here being squared. So always square out a little bit, because that position is this position on the block, and it needs to be straight. Now there's seam allowance on that, so it would be down further like that. But that is straight for at least a little while there before it curves. So that's here. So make sure that's straight and then curve it in nicely. The next one is 1 to 10. So this is coming down here. Okay, so we're getting this measurement so that we draw a guideline across. So it's what you call a construction line. Sometimes you're drawing what we call a construction line, a line that you square from or that you measure from or something. So they're useful to get to that point, and then we kind of don't use them anymore. You can see it's not represented here in the. It's like a guideline, yeah, that we work from. That's what I would call it, and it's 1/5 the arm side depth measurement minus 0.7. So we find that measurement 3.5. 1 to 10. 1 to 10. So we're coming in.
Okay.
Square halfway across the block. So again, in this way, it's just a construction line, and it's just to help us get that shoulder angle here, so it doesn't go all the way across. So 9 to 11, this is our shoulder point here. From 9, we're going to make a shoulder point here. So this is the hardest one. From 9 to 11, your shoulder length measurement plus 1 centimetre. You can see there, that's 13.25. We have it worked out. We've looked up here, found our shoulder measurement, added the 1 already. Okay, the 1 centimetre is added for the dart, because there's going to be a 1 centimetre dart in the shoulder. And so you are creating that measurement and you're drawing that line to touch this, line 10. So she's calling that line 10, okay? So you know how to refer to that line. Then we're taking that measurement, 13, was it? Or 13.5? Yeah, 13.25. So we're taking the 13.25 measurement, and essentially we're going from 9 to whatever point it hits on this line. So we're taking that and swiveling it along here and hitting down here somewhere. Okay? So you have to kind of hold it and kind of swivel down. So if I go like this, 13, 10, 13.25. Usually what I do is I mark it, then I can go back and kind of just double check with my measurement. Better usually if it's and then I come back and I draw the line between the 2 points. Because I don't like to measure and draw. Generally you are inaccurate. Okay, maybe on a pattern, but on a block you have to be so careful to be super accurate. And the next instruction is 12, and it just says center of shoulder line. So that's simple, we're just finding the center and we're marking it 12. So 12 is going to be the center of that dart that comes down. And then we get 12 to 13 going down here, going down to the dart. Draw a dotted line 5 centimeters long and sloping inward 1. So there's a dotted line going dot, dot, dot down. So I'll draw that in red. So this is a line we're drawing that we're going to use and measure from. So we're first of all finding the center point of this line. So that's 6.66. We're going to square that from this line up here. This is also a construction line. Notice it doesn't appear on our blocks, but we need it there so we can square from it. So we put my set square up along the top line. So again, one side of the set square is along my line that I'm using to square from, and then the other one is here. So I'm going to first just draw a dotted line down. Then I'm going to measure on it 5, and then I'm going to square out from that. It's only 1 centimeter. So I've come down 5 and over 1. And then the dart is going to go up and spread across here, but the 12 is going to be the center. So you're gonna center the dart on 12. So from 12 you're going to come out 0.5 and out 0.5 and then down to that point.
Okay, is that the part?
Well, so there's something there on the diagram that is very hard to see, but can you look closely and see that one side is up, one side of the dart is slightly up from the other? Each side of the dart has to be what?
Equal.
Equal length, excellent. So they need to be equal length. So because I've angled this, if you measure here and here, they're not equal lengths. So we have to make them equal lengths. Okay? So you can do what she did, which was, she went up. So you're taking this measurement, applying to there, and it will end up being slightly up. Aren't they totally different? Do you know? They're not equal. This is not equal. Whereas these are equal. So if you have a squared position here, you don't have to worry about it. The dart will be equal. But once you angle that line, the legs are going to be completely different lengths. You've got to make this side equal, which say you can extend. I'm not measuring right now, but I would measure this and apply the same measurement. Now the measurement is very slight. You know, it might only be 1 millimeter or 2 millimeter, but it's to apply this concept, because as the darts get bigger and the angle gets bigger, all of a sudden it's a much bigger difference. I measure along here, take that, and then, you know, pivot it over, and it's just a tiny bit above, and then I draw in my new line. So what I'm going to do is wiggle out that line underneath. This line is now incorrect. Okay, so we're back to the next thing, position 2 to 14. So 2 to 14 is there. So we're coming across here, and then we're going to use the half back with measurement. We're going to add 0.5, and then we're going to square up. So she's telling you the 0.5 is for ease. So that's in this part of the body. She's given 0.5 ease, and we're going to square up. So the measurements are there on your sheet. 7.7, and then we're going to square up. Square up to 15, which is where you hit this line here. So then 14 to 16 is just halfway from this line that we made there. Then we're coming to the halfway point, and that's 9 centimeters up. And then 17 is midway between 2 and 14, so you can see that it's midway between 2 and 14. That is 8.85 over. So the front over here, the first one from 4 to 20, so going in that direction, in left, is 1/5 your neck size minus 0.7. And that equals 6.7. So we're going to measure out 6.7, make a mark. And then 4 to 21 is here, going down. So going along the center front line. So we're going to get each point from our neck, and then we're going to draw in our curve. So 1/5 the neck size minus 0.2, and draw in your front neck curve. So that's 7.2 down to position 21. See the way you have to like freehand that curve? So when you're making this curve shape here, you want it to be nice and like deep enough, okay? It's got a neck coming in there. So remember, this is the shape you're making for. You're drawing in this shape. It's like a curved L shape. More than just like a triangular shape. And the one thing that's good is to, as well, just to have it squared for even the tiniest bit, even if it's just 0.5. And then you have to draw it in. And 3 to 22, so we're coming across here to create a similar shape like that we have here, and we're creating the shoulder. So it's half the chest measurement plus half width of dart, and square up. This is a funny one because in this case, on this block, she gives you the set amount of the dart, 7. We're just using those measurements to get to 22. So that gives us 19.7 that we are measuring over, and that's position 22. We're going to square up there, but we don't have to go all the way up to the top. We're just going a little way. Thing is from 3 to 23, so we're finding the halfway position there, and then it says square down with a dotted line. That's only going to be, that dotted line is just going to be the position we do our dart on. I forgot to do it from here. We're supposed to square down there too. So that's 9.85 over. Or 9.9 the point, and then you're going to do a nice dotted line down. Forgot to do the line from 17, so you can do that one too while we're at it. Careful with 26 is here on our diagram, so you can see it's just a bit below this line. It's just a point. It's going to be the apex of the dart, the bottom of the dart, and it just is given the bust point 2.5 centimeters down. So we're literally just measuring. She's given amount 2.5. Yeah, 2.5 down, and then we're going to join that line up to there. That's going to be the first side of our dart. Okay, we're nearly there now. So 20 to 27 is here. It's the width of the dart, which is given to us as 7. So 20 to 27 is literally 7 over. And then when you make that point, you come back down to point 26. So you make the second leg of the dart. So we're on to the next bit here. So it's the next step is 11 to 28. So you're squaring down here. This is only just, again, a construction line. You see this line? We're coming down a certain amount. We're squaring across just to get the angle. This is just helping us get the angle of this line here. So she just gives you an amount, 1.5. You can square down from that line, using that line or the one above it, whichever is easiest. I like to use the one above it. And square down and then measure your 1.5. That's position 28, isn't it? And you're then squaring across. So it's only a very small bit to square from, so it's tiny. And you just draw a line out. She has a point there, position 29, but I don't usually do it because it doesn't really matter, just once it's long enough. Then 27 to 30 is going from here to here. So line 27 to 30. And it gives you the measurement, draw a line from 27, shoulder length measurement to touch the line 28 to 29. So that's given to you there, 12.25. So you take the measurement 12.25 and you're going to go from here down to hit this line using that measurement there. So you take your set square and you have to kind of pivot it. So putting the 0 at this point and pivoting down till you hit 12.25. Draw in the line then. Our next one is from 22 to 31. It's 1/3 of the measurement 3 to 21. We don't have a measurement there. It wasn't given. I have given it to you on the cheat sheet to make it a bit quicker. So I've worked it out mathematically what it should be and given it to you there, which is 15.8. You take 1/3 of that, which ends up at 5.26, is it? Which is where we get up to 0.31. That is a position 31, that's an important position. 32 is here, so it's midway between 14 and 22. So between these 2 points, we find the midway position. We're going to draw again another dotted line, which is our construction line. This is for the side seam, so the side seam of the body. And we will put our shaping onto it, but it starts off as a straight line and then we will put our shaping on. There's more shaping on the front than the back, there's a bit of differences in it. But it should be 5.8 in. And then we square it. Now, this bit here, the curve of the armhole or the arm side is a little tricky. So I'll do that. That kind of completes the first section of the block. We're on this part here. So underneath that there's a whole load of instructions. And it says draw arm side as shown on diagram, touching points 11, 16, 32, 31 and 30. So we're supposed to touch, to go from 11, 16, 32, 31 and 30. Okay, so can you imagine that where my finger is drawing? But there's a very particular shape that is supposed to be made there. And this is a big no man's land, like where do I go, like this or how far? So we're going to get, you see these little arrows coming up? We're going to get an extra point on there so that will help us because the curve is a bit deeper than you think. It certainly is deeper than what she has drawn on the diagram, so that throws people a lot. So you look at the diagram and then you're going to draw yours and you're going to go, it doesn't look the same. So it's just whatever way they've done the diagram isn't exactly perfectly how yours is going to look. It's kind of like there's a bunch of information here. Sizes 6 to 8, we're going to ignore that because that's not our size. We're sizes 10 to 14. Yeah. Then the next thing says from position 14, so that's that side, 2.5 centimeters. So it's very little information. But what she means is you're to measure in 2.5 here, but not just at any angle. She doesn't say, but she means a 45-degree angle. So these set squares have 45-degree angle. Okay, and that's used here in this position. The way you can use it is put your set square along and draw a line up a bit. Okay, So you get that little angle. It's dividing the 90° in half. So you might need to share set squares because I don't know that there's a lot of these in the room. Measure up 2.5. And following along with that line, then it says from 22, we're measuring up just 2. So now I have a little bit more information to go from 11 to 16 now to here. And you see how much deeper that is? And I probably would have gone if I just was freestyling it. So it's deeper than you think. This armhole shape, it's not a pretty curve, like, you know. So sometimes people are really trying really hard to get me a pretty looking curve that they conceive as a nice shape. But remember, like, it's not necessarily to be a nice shape, it's to be the correct shape. You're to hit these points and you're to go slowly through them, as in gradually, and not have them be too pointy, do you know? The other thing you're to do is have it squared from this point, even just for a short bit, okay? And from here. Okay. But then after that I have to pull it into there, and I need to do it gradually. I don't want to do a big funny wiggle. Any wiggle that you draw on here is the wiggle on the garment. It shouldn't have a wiggle. It might have a curve, but that curve needs to be gradual, okay? So it's the thing about these curves is they're flatter than you think. Once people say the word curve, you think big curve. They're kind of like a very slightly curved line in most places. It's quite flat along here, really quite flat, then curving only very slightly out here, then flat along here again for a while, and then very slightly, do you know? So you just go for it. I'm used to drawing the curve. And so I know it's a little bit hard to get it perfect, but just have a go. I'm just going to explain the last bit because people are doing well. So, because it's simple enough. What you're doing is following the diagram. So there isn't, the instructions aren't there. They are on a different page, but they're actually really quite confusing. It's quite simple. I think it's simpler to just follow the diagram. So coming down to create a dart, you're just creating a dart. The bottom of that is hard to read. It's 13. So you're coming down 13 centimeters here, and the top of the dart is at 0.26. The width of the dart is 2.5 each way. Sorry, 2.25. So that's 4.5 in total. So 2.25 this way, 2.25 that way, 13 down. And the back one, which is built on this, is 1.75 on each side. Okay, so that's 3.5 put together. And then again, it's 13 down, and it's all the way up to 17, though. It is all the way up to that line. Enough. And then this, just notice that this is not a dart. People will refer to it as a dart. It is not. It is the side seam. So you see the way these are separate. I'm going to make it very clear. You know, they're separate blocks. So we draft it like this, and they're lined up, and it's like this, but they're going to be separate. They're going to be separated. So this shaping here is the side seam shaping. So it's creating this, and the other one is creating that. And they are different because, why would they be different, do you think? The front of the body is quite different to the back of the body, isn't it? Yeah. The bum, we never want to forget about, is bigger, isn't it? We have, so more on the back. So that's why it comes out more, do you see? On the back it's wider. So look at the bottom there. You don't just come halfway, you come out a bit more. That's to leave room for the bum. It doesn't come in as much at the waist. In terms of the female form, you go out more at the bust, in more, and out, you know, on the front block. So that's represented there, do you know?